as I've been long. The Black Lotus clan sends their regards.
Is this a challenge? It's promise!
Your reputation precedes you.
Ha ha! Perhaps, but you're still just a pussy.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Life and death. Woman, I ain't no fucking drug cheat. I don't take drugs. I don't take performance enhancing drugs. Never have, never been, never will. She can't say the same. She did not want the Bo fight. She did not want the Karen Dubois fight. She wants easy pickings. She's trying her hardest to get the easiest pickings she can possibly. That's fine. But then don't walk around like you're a gangster, like you're that girl. Well, it's going to be interesting. I think she's fighting next week, or next weekend, or 2 weeks. So we're going to see. You know, I'm interested to see how she gets through that fight. I think it's a hard fight.
That is Carolyn Dubois' rationale for not being able to outclass Terry Harper like she said she would, not being able to deliver on her promise of a knockout. For as much as she was tearing Terry Harper down, Terry gave her the best fight of anybody that she's fought. Leaning heavily into the drug cheat accusation as a means to also tear down Alicia Baumgardner, is Carolyn trying to say that the only reason Alicia knocked Terry out is because she was on PEDs when she did it? Well, Sandy Ryan did the same thing, and to my knowledge, Sandy's never popped hot for anything. So are you indirectly accusing her of using PEDs too? Or are you just talking because you got a mouth? It's catching steam. Constantly bringing up Alicia's doping fiasco as a means to tear her down and question her legacy, her legitimacy as a fighter. I saw one guy who goes by the name Real Nick Son's Family say, "It's true, she isn't lying. I like Baumgartner, but facts are facts." I don't think this guy's too bothered with the facts so much as just repeating back whatever Carolyn says. It's not just him either. Another guy who goes by the name Ibn Salim said, "The Goofy is better than your PED user, homie." To which I responded, "Is that why she was never suspended and got to keep her belts?" He didn't have an answer for that one. Another guy who goes by the name Jay Murphy said, "Looking like a drug-cheating monster she is. Trashy bitch." To which I responded, "Drug cheats get stripped of their titles and suspended. She didn't. You might need a new narrative to lean on," at which point he decided to hit the block button because he didn't have an answer for that any more than the last guy did. Everybody on this channel knows that I have a very nuanced perspective when it comes to doping in the sport of boxing. I've got my perspectives and I've got my opinions, but if what we're gonna do is stick to the facts as they are, categorically, just the facts, Alicia Baumgardner was never penalized by either the Michigan Unarmed Combat Commission or the Alphabet organizations. She was fully exonerated of any wrongdoing, and the whole thing, call it a false positive or call it a false alarm, but drug cheats get suspended and drug cheats get stripped of their titles, neither of which happened to Alicia. I don't think any of them, including Carolyn Dubois, worked it out to where if Alicia's a drug cheat, then why does she still have her belts, and why was she never suspended? No, it's easier to just say shit just to say shit. That's the running theme with this generation. Don't think about what you're saying, just run your mouth. These idiots are gonna repeat whatever you say. Which was accented by WMMA Scene Now, a friend of the channel, who said, "All this newfound Dubois fandom is manufactured as hell. None of them can or will answer. Why does Dubois only have energy for 130-pound fighters? Why does she only have energy for super featherweights?" Oh, well, because what she said about Alicia really applies to her. She says that Alicia's looking for the low-hanging fruit, the easy pickings.
Is that right?
When that's what Carolyn Dubois has been doing. That's why she wanted Rhiannon Dixon, who has no amateur background, and not Beatrice Ferreira, who does. That's why she wanted Terry Harper, and not Elif Nur-Turan, who knocked out Beatrice Ferreira, because Carolyn is really talking about herself. She's got all this time to worry about a super featherweight when she just got called out again by one of her fellow champions. When it was Beatrice Ferreira calling her out, she couldn't be bothered. Now, it's the same thing with Elif Nur-Turan, who took to her Instagram stories to issue an official call-out. Addressing the elephant in the room, The first thing Carolyn Dubois did after beating Terry Harper post-fight was start talking about the quote-unquote drug cheat. But why is a drug cheat, who's not even at your weight, taking up so much of your time and so much of your focus when you have a division to unify?
It's like two other champions at your weight, one of which is on your same side of the street.
Why isn't Carolyn talking about fighting the winner of Stephanie Hahn versus Holly Holm? Why isn't Carolyn Dubois talking about unifying titles with Elif Nur-Turan?
If you truly believe that Alicia Baumgardner is a drug cheat, then why would you award her with a fight? You're just enabling her.
By giving her a title shot. I said the exact same thing about Chris Eubank Jr. For all of his hullabaloo about Conor Benn's anti-doping fiasco, you's the one kept signing up to fight him.
I think that makes you just as bad, because you're enabling him.
You believe that Alicia Baumgardner is a drug cheat, you would then be enabling her because you'd be affording her a shot at your title.
Why?
She's trying to mimic Clarissa Shields. She knows that Alicia and Clarissa have an ongoing beef, and she wants to act as Clarissa's attack dog.
What's the beef between her and Clarissa about again?
Because Alicia said that she would be willing to move up to fight her.
You mean like Michaela said that she would be willing to move up to fight her?
One and the same, except it doesn't rub Clarissa the wrong way when Michaela does it, like when Alicia did it.
What the fuck is wrong with Clarissa?
The fuck is wrong with Carolyn? She just seems like a clout chaser to me. She knows that Alicia Baumgardner, whether you like her or not, is very well known and has a lot of clout. And that's why she keeps bringing her up, because she's a clout chaser. If you were at the same weight, I could see.
But you're not.
She's a clout chaser. That's why she keeps talking about Alicia Baumgardner. That's why Nikisa Badarian keeps talking about her and Katie Taylor.
Carolyn is a clout chaser.
You gotta crawl before you walk, sweetheart, and you gotta walk before you run. You got more work needs doing at your own weight that you don't need to be worried about them.
You haven't earned it.
Know what people are gonna say? That, well, Bomi Ray Shin hasn't earned it. How does Bomi Ray Shin get the fight for losing to Carolyn?
You wanna know how? I'll tell you how. When you're the top dog, you call the shots. You reserve the right to do things on your own time. People don't want to hear that or accept it.
But that's what it is. What are you trying to convince me of? That when Carolyn Dubois says jump, Alicia's supposed to say how high?
Is that why she paid the cost to be the boss, paid her dues, and became undisputed? So she could march to the beat of Carolyn's drum.
Men's junior middleweight news. Fundora promoter believes Kelly fight will be made and suggests appealing date. Less than a week after stopping Keith Thurman, the WBC junior middleweight champion Fundora immediately stepped into negotiations for a title unification fight against IBF champion Josh Kelly. I believe this fight will be made. Fundora promoter Simpson Lukowicz told The Ring, "It depends on where it will be and the strength of the offer. It's a great fight for the fighters to unify the titles and the fans across the US and UK too." Lukowicz said he's leaving the negotiations to be handled by confidant Louis DeCubas Jr. and Kelly's promoter Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing, who last week confirmed the two sides were in preliminary discussions.
You know what? Fight might actually get made. If Simpson Lukowicz ain't the one negotiating it, if it's Louis, it might actually happen, as Louis DeCubas Jr. has shown more ability to make these cross-promotional fights than anybody else at the PBC.
He's a younger guy, perhaps has a different vision, has seen firsthand that their island policy didn't pan out the way they thought it would. If it were to take place in the UK, Lukowicz even lobbied for the idea to have it scheduled for June 27th, the same day that WBA and WBO champion Xander Zayas is set to defend his titles against Jaron Ennis in New York. It would be unbelievable if that could happen, said Lukowicz. It will be like a tournament featuring 4 of the top junior middleweights in the world, and the winners can fight for the undisputed championship afterwards. It will be the best if it happens. It can be historical, but we'll see.
The only way you could do those two cards on the same day is if one of them ain't a pay-per-view, and we already know that Zayas versus Boots is.
Kelly versus Fundora might be. To get the fight over the line and get the two fighters the kind of money they would want to unify with each other and take that risk.
Might have to bill it as a pay-per-view.
Lukowicz also offered his prediction on how he sees the bout between Zayas and Ennis playing out when they square off at Brooklyn's Barclays Center, the headline of his own pay-per-view. Zayas definitely deserves credit for taking the fight against Ennis, said Lukowicz. He's smart, has good movement, and could create problems, but I believe Ennis will win in a very competitive fight, most likely by knockout. Ennis is the second best junior middleweight in the world, but no one can beat Sebastian at the moment.
Second best junior middleweight in the world? For doing what? Knocking out Uisma Lima? I take real issue when guys get crowned without having done any fucking thing. Boots has had a grand total of one fight at 154 against a fucking nobody, and he's number 2 in the division?
If he beats Xander Zayas and becomes a unified champion in one fell swoop, I could see. Though until that happens, curb your enthusiasm.
Back over to Fundora versus Kelly, and why the Fundora team might be a lot more receptive to this fight than they were the Xander Zayas fight.
And the Crawford fight.
It's because they view Josh Kelly as being beatable. He has been beaten before. He got beat at 147 by David Evanesian. If you crumbled under the pressure of that guy, you might also crumble under the pressure of a bigger, stronger puncher in Sebastian Fundora.
They view Josh Kelly as being more beatable than some other champion at the weight, and hence they are receptive to it in tandem with the purse. Matchroom and Eddie Hearn don't have a reputation for cheaping out.
And to get the fighters the kind of money they're looking for, the DAZN platform may elect to bill Kelly versus Fundora as a pay-per-view
in order to spruce up their ultimate tier package. Another pay-per-view added to that schedule.
Though, of course, if they did that, I hardly think you would bill 2 pay-per-views the same day featuring 4 guys at the same weight. One event may end up cannibalizing the other.
It might. But a thought crossed my mind. Let me flesh this out. What if you build both cards as a pay-per-view for one purchase?
On price?
But what's the going rate for a DAZN pay-per-view? 50, 60 bucks? Say that you get both cards for 80.
Well, that's actually not half bad.
If you did it that way, no, it's not, because the going rate for a pay-per-view on Amazon Prime is about $75. That's $75 for one card, just one card, usually whatever's in the main event and a very forgettable undercard. What if you paid $5 more for 2 cards, 2 unification matches on the same day?
Well, give him any ideas.
I wouldn't mind that. $80 for Kelly versus Fundora and Zayas versus Boots as a package. Buy them both. As far as the fight and how I think it would go, I can only tell you now what I told you before. If they do make this thing, I actually favor Sebastian to win it because Josh Kelly is an outboxer. He's an outside fighter.
I think he would make the same tactical error that Keith Thurman made, trying to box a taller, longer fighter from the outside when you ain't got the reach to do that. Sebastian's wingspan is height. He doesn't need to be close to you to hit you with punches, but you do need to be close to him. And if you're boxing from the outside, creating space, you're just giving him a clearer target. That's if Josh Kelly tries to box from the outside. Now, if he tweaks the strategy and tries to crowd the pocket to bang on the inside,
I don't think that's going to work either. Even though that's the right course of action to use against Sebastian, I don't think that Josh Kelly is built for it.
he's not a pressure guy, and he's not that concussive a puncher. Trying to force the pace and press the issue, he might cause himself to burn out.
Front foot or back foot, I do not like Josh Kelly's chances in this fight. So if they make it, I've got Sebastian by way of knockout. It might go a bit longer than the Keith Thurman fight did because, Josh Kelly's had a bit more time at this weight. He is a fresher, younger fighter with a younger set of legs than Keith Thurman, but I think it ends the same way. I think he gets stopped.
Right, exactly. And I thought it was very interesting that Anthony Joshua put in the effort to go to this fight and actually had an interaction with Deontay Wilder afterward. Look, I mean, everyone has wanted this fight for years. Remember when they got him in the room, I believe it was at or near the DAZN headquarters years ago, and they had an unbelievable financial package in front of Deontay Wilder that for whatever reason, his allegiance to PBC, he did not sign. But that fight could have taken place back then. And now the fact that they've kind of brushed into each other after the fight on Saturday leads me to believe that, look, put in the effort, make this happen. I mean, it's a fight that everyone wants to see. I know that there's been talk about Joshua and Fury next too. But Deontay Wilder is definitely a player in this whole process. And if their fight is to survive and advance, then make it happen. Because I think in my opinion, Wilder versus Joshua or Joshua versus Fury is really on equal footing. I know that there's so much clamor for Joshua Fury in the UK, but Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua would be more of a global US versus UK event that I think would sell tremendously. So let's hope it happens. I mean, when it's ripe, make it happen, right? It's ripe right now, so make it happen.
Lance Pugmire mentioned the failed set of negotiations between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua from years ago. John Skipper, all of that.
Lou DiBella's one set it up.
Guy who goes by the name Russian Rudnitsky said, "Hey Lou, weren't you the Bronze Bombers promoter of record when you failed to make the super fight with Anthony Joshua back when that was the biggest event that could possibly be made in all of live sports?"
To be honest, Lou's not the reason it didn't work out.
To which Lou DiBella responded, "No, fool. I walked Deontay into DAZN and had an extraordinary offer in front of him to fight Joshua, and he elected, at the urging of others, to turn the fight and a multi-fight guaranteed contract down. Now go buzz the fuck off."
Another Twitter user who goes by the name The Boxing Fan said, Shelly Finkel said in a recent IFL interview it was Al Heyman and I and Deontay at the meeting. You were in the meeting, Lou? By the way, Finkel confirmed the reason they didn't accept the $100 million offer was they did not know how much AJ was getting, which is so weird.
Let me make a long story short for you. He was getting more than Wilder, like he's supposed to, because he's always been a bigger name than Wilder. Whether you're talking about way back when, back then, or now. Who do you think made more money in their last fight? Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder?
Well, in fairness, Anthony was boxing Jake Paul on Netflix, so it was likely Anthony.
But even back then, why do you think that Anthony Joshua, with just a few fights, had $6 to $7 million to offer Charles Martin? It's because he was already a bigger name than Wilder, worth more money. Lou DiBella continued, "I created the meeting. I forced it. Of course I was fucking there. Deontay wanted the deal until Al and Shelly assertively didn't at the meeting. That's the last I will ever speak or write about it."
Can you imagine how angry Lou DiBella must be that he's the one tried to make it happen and now people are blaming him for the fight's collapse when it was really Al Heyman?
That's the last I will ever speak or write about it, at least until my book is published. Deontay's life, not mine. Ultimately, his prerogative, not mine.
More bad business advice from Al Heyman, the Wizard of Oz. Because if Wilder himself admitted that the offer for Anthony Joshua was for more money than what he made with Fury,
And Al's the one told you to turn that DAZN offer down so that you could go focus on Fury, well then he's the reason you lost. He's the reason you ended up the way you ended up.
listening to that fucking idiot.
Never mind not knowing what Anthony Joshua was going to make, because you knew what you were going to make, and you knew it was more than the Fury fight. So you turned down more money for less money to get your ass kicked?
And now you're supposed to be a priority to Anthony, is that it?
I think that Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn jointly are so sick and tired of having this all brought up when all the effort to make that fight was coming from them.
And all Wilder ever did was turn them down.
He could never hold up his end of the bargain to make this fight a reality, so now, in the twilight years of their careers, he's not going to be as much of a priority anymore. Fury is the focus.
Why wouldn't he be? He beat you 2 times. 3 to some people.
If you're still around, and you're still fighting, and you're still winning after the Fury fight, maybe they'll get to you.
Maybe.
Nobody's even saying that it shouldn't happen, but it's not now what it once was. The moment is kind of past, and it's all your fault.
Even without the DAZN meeting, what took place years later when Turkey El Sheikh was going to make it, Anthony had won his fight, but you lost yours.
Once again, not being able to hold up your end of the bargain to make this fight a reality, so that if it doesn't happen, the paper trail is quite clear as to why. Everything on Wilder's side.
It's Wilder's fault it didn't happen.